I'm Deirdre Fitzpatrick.
And I'm Teo Torres. It's Thursday morning, second day of summer. Let's get a check on our forecast. And Tamara, we continue to be a bit below normal.
Yeah, and that's going to continue today with those temperatures even backing down a bit more than how warm it was yesterday afternoon. Right now, beautiful sunrise unfolding. Live look from our 555 Capitol Mall Skycam, and in Sacramento, temperature is 55 degrees if you're just getting ready to head out the door, maybe beginning a morning commute. We do have some scattered clouds, and those will be around, especially for the first half of the day before thinning out as we get into the middle of it and into the back half. But expect that through the morning. We have comfortable temperatures with that southwest wind 5 to 10 miles per hour. By lunchtime, we're up to 70 degrees and eventually we'll hit the upper 70s to low 80s for daytime highs in many valley spots. You can see the scattering of these clouds with the high resolution satellite going back a couple of hours, and those clouds sweeping up from south to north, and they're just kind of peppering our skies. We will be seeing those around through about midday, and then everybody sees them kind of thin out a bit, except for the Sierra, where we could see chances for some isolated showers and thunderstorms later on. But look at that breeze coming through Fairfield at 25 miles an hour, south wind at 10 in Sacramento, north wind at 10 over and through Stockton. Hour by hour today, the one spot that won't be terribly breezy is in the foothills. Those clouds thin out, looking at highs in the lower to mid 70s across Placerville and Auburn. Coming up in my full forecast, we'll talk about how long cooler than average weather could stick around. 6:01 is the time. Brian, what's out there on those highways?
Well, right now, the fire department, I just have been watching them here in the Caltrans camera. They're looking for the reports of a vehicle that hit the right-hand wall on eastbound Interstate 80 near Madison and flipped over on its roof. But I saw the fire truck go through the picture this way. They came across Madison and back around. And so far, I've been unable to locate possible overturned vehicles. So that was reported on the eastbound side of 80 near Madison over on the right-hand side. So I'm not seeing any slowing in that area either. So they'll continue their search for that. Meanwhile, the rest of the 80 corridor looking good, coming in all the way from Roseville. If you're going 80 across the top, Cap City Freeway, no problems there. Highway 50 looking good, coming in out of Folsom into the downtown area. Again, with the construction going on the WX Freeway. Northbound 5 and 99 looking good with no delays on that stretch. Got some construction on 160 there, so we're seeing a bunch of red on that portion of the road. And then Stockton looking good, 5 and 99. Highway 4, no issues off to the west, a little bit of slowing around Bay Point. That's pretty typical this time of day. And we're seeing some slowing northbound 99 into Manteca, where earlier we had a big rig and a car involved in a crash in that spot. Westbound 205 starting to slow down a little bit there. It's 27 minutes, 25 minutes over the Altamont Pass, where there is a wind advisory there. And then Highway 50 out of Rancho Cordova running at 10 minutes right now into downtown. Interstate 80, 9 minutes to the split. And 5 is an 11-minute ride, and 99 just a little slow at 13 minutes from Elk Grove to Highway 50. Back to you.
Brian, thank you. It's 6:03 now, happening right now. It's the final push to try to find that missing submersible in the Atlantic Ocean. Now, the calculations have indicated that the crew has likely run out of oxygen. The search and recovery effort in the North Atlantic has now expanded. It's intensified. There are more ships, planes, and manpower. So far, they have not been able to find the origin of the noises that sonar picked up. So now the hope is that the 5 men in the submersible were able to stretch their limited resources. Tom Costello is covering the search for the Today Show.
Good morning from the Coast Guard Incident Command Center here in Boston, where they are very much in the final sprint, an all-out effort to find that missing mini sub with 5 men on board. And the clock is ticking, because at 7:08 a.m., by the Coast Guard's own calculation, they will run out of air inside that sub. The search zone is massive. It's about twice the size of Connecticut. So they are searching a vast search area on top of the surface, but also down underneath. They've been dropping those sonar buoys, and the Canadian pilots and the sonar operators thought they heard noise that could have been banging. But as they run that noise through the Navy's computer systems, checking the algorithms, they are not sure at all that that isn't something that is naturally occurring in the ocean, or that might be some sort of a ship moving through the area. The North Atlantic is a very heavily transited piece of ocean. And so as they now move to these critical final hours, they're on the ocean, they're in the air, listening, watching, and hoping that they can find this sub. We'll have the latest on the sub from here at the Command Center coming up on Today.
It's just an all-around potential tragedy here, you know. It's also interesting, it's being reported Stockton Rush, the guy who runs it, had claimed that University of Washington, that Boeing had helped in the design, and both of those entities are saying,
we had nothing to do with it.
We had nothing to do with it. So a lot more to come here. After the Today Show, you can continue to follow the developments in the search on the KCRA 3 app, and make sure you have signed up for breaking news alerts as well. Well, back here in Northern California now, and a man is facing assault and weapons charges following a standoff with Sacramento police. A man barricaded himself in a home on Argo Way near Fruit Ridge Road. Video here of that arrest last night. Now, the SWAT team responded with a Bearcat, a big armored vehicle. This started around 3 and ended around 8:30 p.m.
Well, a developing story to tell you about out of Fair Oaks. The roommates of a man found shot dead are now under arrest this morning. And today we're trying to get Sacramento sheriff's deputies, get more information to them about what actually led up to this. Investigators say the suspects are a mother and son, Ruth Weiser and Joseph Thomason. The victim was a man in his 40s. Deputies investigated the homicide on Kenneth Avenue, just south of Madison. Weiser is charged with murder, while Thomason is charged with helping a person who committed a felony. No word yet on a motive or the victim's identity. Sacramento County Sheriff investigating a shooting that happened at a home on Alder Avenue. Live Copter 3 was up over that area after that shooting came in at around 5 o'clock. Investigators say that the man was found shot in the neck and then died shortly after that. No word yet on a possible suspect.
Well, this morning we are on Supreme Court watch. The justices expected to hand down some rulings over the next couple of days. Amy Lou is in Washington this morning with more on what cases are still being waited on.
Well, decisions on a few remaining cases could have major impacts on students, voters, and workers. On students, the Supreme Court is debating whether President Biden's student loan forgiveness plan is legal, while other cases will determine whether affirmative action considering race in college admissions is constitutional. In the workplace, one case examines whether businesses can discriminate based on a client's sexual orientation. Another questions the extent an employer must go to accommodate and comply with religious freedom laws. Meanwhile, other cases consider a state's power to overrule federal immigration guidelines and even change election outcomes, a wide range of topics sure to affect many Americans.
I think people realize how important the decisions of the court are to their everyday lives. I think the people are aware of it, not so much from an intellectual perspective, but from a practical perspective.
Decisions on these remaining cases are expected later this morning and tomorrow. In Washington, I'm Amy Lou.
Well, rulings usually come down at 7, so if anything big is handed down, the Today Show will have a special report, and we will have all the details on My 58.
Happening right now, the search for survivors from a series of tornadoes in Texas is now underway. The death toll is now up to 4. A strong tornado tore through the small West Texas town of Matador last night, destroying dozens of buildings, trees, and flipping over semi-trucks. Some highways are actually impassable because of the damage. Rescue teams from Lubbock, which is about 70 miles southwest of where that tornado hit, are now being dispatched to help out.
For a look at that storm system, let's bring in Dirk Verdorn.
Yeah, we're looking at conditions that are still active this morning in through the Central Plains, and let's take a look at where we saw a lot of tornado activity, including North Texas yesterday. And so here's where we had a lot of the tornadoes popping up yesterday as we went through the afternoon. In fact, it started around noon yesterday and lasted on into the night. Texas was one place that got hit pretty hard. You can see these tornadoes that formed just to the east of Lubbock, and that complex was very strong. Some hail that was, again, very large hail as well as strong gusty winds. Abilene also got hit last night. Also looking at Colorado, where there were numerous thunderstorms that popped up, also spawning numerous tornadoes in that area, stretching from Pueblo all the way to the northeast corner of the state and even on into Wyoming, where we had some of that activity. And this is what it looks like this morning. Things are still very active with a severe thunderstorm warning that is posted in the Kansas area as this line of thunderstorms is going to work its way towards Oklahoma. And the potential for more severe weather is going to be stretching from northern Texas through New Mexico, all across the eastern portion of Colorado and even into portions of Wyoming and Nebraska. So more active weather, more possible tornadoes again today. Back over to you.
All right, Dirk, thank you.
It is 6:09 now. Happening today, some positive news for a part of Sacramento that has dealt with a lot of gun violence over the last couple of weeks.
A brand new affordable housing complex is opening up in North Sacramento. It's located along Arden Way. It's next to the Royal Oaks Post Office facility. And our Melanie Wingo is live with a look at what the complex offers and how much it may cost to move in. Good morning.
Good morning. Well, we are getting a good look at the Salvatore Apartments this morning. And what we're seeing here at this development behind me is all that has happened, all that has been built up in just the past 2 years or so. We do want to show you some video from the developer, which gives you a good sense of how this land looked in the very early stages, groundbreaking and then construction at what used to be known as the Lumberjack site here on Arden Way, now standing, as you can see, the Salvatore Apartments, 2 4-story buildings with 120 affordable apartment units. They have 1, 2, and 3-bedroom floor plans. There's a shared courtyard between those 2 buildings and 4,000 square feet of community space. The nonprofit organization Community Housing Works, which spearheaded this project, says that its vision is that this project will spur future growth along this transit and business corridor. And we want to show you some of the ways the project has added to this area. They've had improvements along Arden Way, including new sidewalks, landscaping. There's some new lighting and bike lane improvements. Also, that easy access to Royal Oaks Transit Station. And that's one of the things that the developers say will help out people who do ultimately live here, is that easy access to get on public transit and head to the downtown area for work. All of this set for a grand opening a little bit later this morning around 11:30. Developers will be here, and even the state housing secretary is set to be here and speak at the grand opening for the Salvatore Apartments. Reporting live in North Sacramento, Melanie Wingo, KCRA 3 News.
Melanie, thank you.